My brothers and sisters, today I want to share with you a reminder, a gentle but powerful one: mind your business. You see, in a world where everyone wants to know everything about everyone, we've forgotten the beauty of focusing on ourselves. We scroll, we comment, we whisper, and we judge, yet we barely pause to ask, how am I with my Creator? How is my heart? How am I improving myself? My brothers and sisters, not every story needs your opinion, not every post needs your comment, and not every problem is yours to solve. When you protect your tongue and guard your attention, you protect your peace, you honor your time, you strengthen your relationship with the Almighty. We often lose blessings, not because someone took them from us, but because we wasted them by talking about others, comparing ourselves, or interfering where we do not belong. The wise person understands focusing on others is easy, but fixing yourself is where the real challenge lies. The value of personal focus lies at the heart of peace, growth, and spiritual maturity. When a person learns to direct their energy towards improving themselves instead of interfering in the affairs of others, they unlock a deeper sense of purpose and tranquility. Many people waste precious time and mental space worrying about what others are doing, saying, or achieving. This constant comparison and unnecessary involvement drain their emotional and spiritual energy, leaving little room for reflection or self-improvement. Personal focus, therefore, is not just about staying in your lane. It is about recognizing that your lane is already filled with enough work, responsibilities, and tests designed specifically for you. When a person chooses to focus inward, they begin to see their own flaws, weaknesses, and areas that need change. It takes humility to admit that one's greatest struggle is not the mistakes of others, but the discipline required to better oneself. Every time you correct your speech, refine your manners, or resist the urge to gossip, you are demonstrating true strength. It's much easier to talk about the faults of others than to confront your own shortcomings. But when you turn that energy inward, you transform gossip into growth and criticism into self-accountability. Personal focus also guards the heart from envy and bitterness. When you are too occupied with what others are doing, you begin to compare their blessings with your own. This comparison leads to resentment and unhappiness. You might start feeling that others are more successful, more loved, or more fortunate than you, when in reality, everyone is fighting their own unseen battles. By focusing on your own journey, you protect your peace and allow gratitude to flourish. You stop measuring your worth against someone else's timeline and start appreciating the unique path written for you. Furthermore, focusing on yourself doesn't mean being selfish or indifferent. It means recognizing that true help to others begins with self-correction. A person who is emotionally stable, spiritually grounded, and inwardly content is in a much better position to support others sincerely. When your heart is pure, your advice carries weight. When your life reflects discipline, your words inspire change. This kind of focus radiates positivity and becomes a silent lesson for those around you. In every day, there are countless moments where you must choose where to direct your attention. Will you waste it analyzing others, or will you invest it in building yourself? The one who minds their business and focuses on their own improvement finds a calmness that cannot be shaken by gossip, drama, or judgment. Respect for privacy is a mark of wisdom and emotional intelligence. Every individual carries within them a world of unseen struggles, private battles, and personal tests that no one else can fully understand. To respect someone's privacy is to acknowledge that their life, their choices, and their journey are not for public inspection. It is an act of humility to accept that we do not have the right to pry into someone else's affairs or to comment on what we barely comprehend. Many people fall into the habit of curiosity disguised as concern, but genuine care does not intrude, it protects. Respecting privacy means guarding someone's dignity the same way you would want yours to be protected. When we refrain from digging into the personal matters of others, we demonstrate empathy and restraint. In a world where everything is displayed and shared, where people feel entitled to know every detail about another person's life, choosing silence and respect becomes a rare virtue. It shows that you value boundaries and understand the sacredness of personal space. Every human being has moments of weakness, regret, or pain that they may never wish to expose, and forcing those parts into public view can cause harm that lasts far beyond the moment of gossip or curiosity. True respect means allowing others to heal and grow in private, without the weight of public judgment. Respecting privacy also nurtures peace within communities and relationships. When people feel that their trust and confidentiality are safe with you, they feel valued and understood. But when they sense that their struggles are being discussed behind their backs, trust begins to crumble. A community that gossips breeds division, but a community that guards each other's secrets fosters unity and compassion. The one who respects privacy becomes a pillar of reliability, someone whose presence brings comfort because others know their words and experiences are safe. Moreover, when we stop concerning ourselves with what others hide or reveal, we free our hearts from judgment and unnecessary assumptions. It becomes easier to focus on our own shortcomings and growth. Respecting privacy reminds us that we are all flawed, all learning, and all deserving of mercy. The Almighty Himself conceals our sins and faults from others, so how can we, in our limited understanding, expose the faults of another? The one who truly understands this principle becomes careful with their tongue, cautious with their curiosity, and sincere in their intentions. They learn that not everything seen needs to be said, not everything heard needs to be shared, and not every silence needs to be filled. The power of silence is one of the most underrated strengths a person can possess. In a world where everyone feels the need to speak, to respond, and to share their opinion on every matter, choosing silence is often mistaken for weakness. But in reality, silence is a sign of wisdom, control, and understanding. It shows that a person values peace over pride, reflection over reaction, and truth over noise. Silence allows space for clarity. It gives the heart a chance to process and the mind an opportunity to respond with calmness rather than emotion. Many conflicts could be avoided and countless relationships could be saved if people learned the art of staying silent when their words hold no benefit. When a person restrains their tongue, they protect themselves from unnecessary sins and regrets. Words once spoken cannot be taken back. They carry weight, and sometimes that weight can crush someone's spirit or destroy years of trust. The wise person understands that not every truth needs to be said, and not every opinion deserves to be heard. Silence is not about hiding the truth. It is about knowing when and how to deliver it. A harsh truth spoken at the wrong time can do more damage than a lie, while a gentle silence can preserve dignity and peace. Silence also reflects inner strength. It takes far more discipline to hold back a word in anger than to release it. When you choose silence in moments of provocation, you are not being passive. You are showing mastery over your emotions. You are refusing to give others control over your reactions. That restraint is a form of power that cannot be easily understood by those who equate noise with authority. A person who can remain silent when insulted, calm when provoked, and patient when misunderstood is a person who has truly conquered themselves. In silence, one also learns to listen. Too often we listen only to reply, not to understand. But true listening requires quietness, not only of the tongue, but of the ego. When you remain silent, you allow others to express themselves fully, and in that moment you gain insight into their heart and perspective. Silence deepens wisdom because it teaches observation over assumption, reflection over reaction. It becomes a shield against arrogance and a gateway to serenity. The person who embraces silence finds peace in the noise of the world and strength in moments when others lose control. Accountability before judgment is a principle that calls us to turn our gaze inward before pointing fingers outward. It reminds us that every human being will stand before the Almighty alone, responsible for their own deeds, words, and intentions. Yet, how often do people spend their time analyzing the actions of others while neglecting the state of their own hearts? It is far easier to judge someone else's mistakes than to admit one's own shortcomings. But true wisdom lies in self-examination. Before we criticize, we must remember that we too have flaws that others may overlook only by mercy and grace. This awareness humbles the heart and prevents arrogance from taking root. When we focus too much on judging others, we shift our attention away from what truly matters, our personal accountability. Every harsh word, every judgmental thought, every assumption we make about another will be brought forth on the day of reckoning. None of us will be questioned about what someone else did. We will be questioned about how we responded, what we said, and how we behaved. The one who constantly judges others forgets this truth and falls into the illusion of self-righteousness, believing that finding fault in others somehow elevates them. But in reality, such judgment only reveals one's own spiritual weakness. Accountability before judgment also teaches humility. It urges us to pause before passing comment, to reflect on whether our own lives reflect the standards we expect from others. When we look at our own shortcomings honestly, we become softer in our view of others. We begin to understand that everyone is struggling in their own way, and that our role is not to expose their faults, but to improve ourselves. This mindset creates compassion instead of criticism, and understanding instead of arrogance. The person who holds themselves accountable first becomes more patient, more forgiving, and more cautious with their words. Furthermore, remembering accountability keeps the heart pure from hypocrisy. It prevents a person from acting as though they are perfect while hiding their own errors. The realization that we will all stand alone before the Almighty should make us more careful in our judgments. For every time we highlight someone's weakness, we may be exposing the very fault we carry within ourselves. When one lives with awareness of personal accountability, their focus shifts from judging others to preparing for their own meeting with their Creator. They become mindful of their actions, humble in their opinions, and sincere in their dealings, knowing that ultimate justice belongs to the one who knows what is hidden and what is seen. Spiritual growth through self-reflection is one of the most profound outcomes of minding your own business. When a person turns inward and focuses on their own journey, they begin to discover who they truly are in the eyes of their Creator. Self-reflection allows the heart to recognize its flaws and the soul to seek purification. Instead of wasting time analyzing others, a reflective person asks, what do I need to fix within myself? How can I become better today than I was yesterday? This question becomes the foundation for sincere growth. It transforms daily life into a journey of awareness, humility, and gratitude. True change begins not with pointing out what others are doing wrong, but by acknowledging where we ourselves need to improve. When you spend time reflecting on your actions, your words and your intentions, you begin to see how much work the heart truly needs. You notice how easily the tongue slips into gossip, how quickly judgment arises, how pride creeps in unnoticed. These realizations are not meant to shame but to awaken. They remind you that self-improvement is a continuous process, not a destination. Reflection keeps the heart alive because it prevents arrogance and encourages repentance. The more you reflect, the more you recognize the mercy of the Almighty in covering your faults and giving you opportunities to change. Spiritual growth requires silence, honesty, and time alone with one's thoughts. It is during moments of solitude that a person can sincerely evaluate their connection with their Creator. Distractions fade, and the reality of one's purpose becomes clearer. You begin to realize that your worth is not defined by people's opinions but by your sincerity in worship, your kindness in conduct, and your patience in trials. Reflection teaches you to stop comparing your journey to others because everyone is being tested in different ways. What matters most is how you respond to your own test. Through self-reflection, the soul becomes lighter. Anger decreases, envy fades, and contentment grows. You learn to forgive more easily because you recognize your own need for forgiveness. You stop competing with others and start striving for the pleasure of your Creator. Every setback becomes a lesson, every failure a chance to grow, and every success a reminder to stay humble. The more you reflect, the closer you draw to your true purpose, to purify your heart, strengthen your faith, and live with sincerity. Spiritual growth is not found in talking about others or proving them wrong. It is found in the quiet moments when you look within and strive to become the person you were meant to be.